I was 25 years old the first time I paid my own bills. That might sound ridiculous to you, but up until that point, I had never known what it felt like to earn money, let alone manage it. My name is Alex, born in LA, raised in a world of comfort. My father owned a chain of luxury hotels, and my mother was a stay-at-home perfectionist. From the outside, we looked like the perfect American dream. Big house, expensive cars, first-class flights. And me? I was the spoiled product of all that privilege. I never had to think twice before buying the latest iPhone. I had designer shoes I didn't even wear. And when I crashed my first car, my dad bought me a new one the same week. But you know what I didn't have? Gratitude, work ethic, or even the smallest idea of what real life looked like for the average person. I was living in a bubble, and like all bubbles, eventually it popped. It all started when my father had a heart attack. He survived, but it shook him. For the first time, he looked tired, not just physically, but emotionally. One night, he called me into his office, the same room I'd spent my childhood avoiding. "Alex," he said, "I can't keep doing everything for you." I smirked, thinking he was being dramatic. But his next words hit me harder than I expected. "If I died tomorrow, what would you do?" I stayed silent. He wasn't angry, just disappointed. He looked at me like a man who had spent his whole life building something, only to realize his own son had no idea how the world worked. "I'm giving you 6 months," he said. "After that, no more money from me. You'll pay your own way." I thought he was bluffing. He wasn't. 6 months passed faster than I imagined. And suddenly, the bank account my father used to fill, empty. No more automatic rent payments. No more Uber Eats every night. No more calling the family accountant when bills arrived. Just me, in reality. The first month was chaos. I had no job, no savings, and worse, no clue where to start. I applied everywhere. Restaurants, retail stores, coffee shops. No one wanted to hire a spoiled kid with no experience. Eventually, I landed a job at a warehouse. Minimum wage, 9-hour shifts, lifting boxes until my arms went numb. The first week, I wanted to quit. The second week, I stopped complaining. By the third week, I started understanding something. This was the life most people lived every day. This was normal. When payday came, I held my first check like it was a treasure. $412. Not much, but it felt like gold. Because for the first time in my life, I earned it. And then came the bills. $75 for electricity, $50 for the internet, $180 for rent. I was splitting with a roommate. $40 for gas and transportation. By the end, I had about $67 left for food and everything else. It wasn't just math. It was humbling. Suddenly, I understood why people care about discounts, why they stressed over rent increases, why they worked overtime just to afford a birthday gift for their kid. I had always looked down on ordinary life, but now, living it, I respected every single person who made it work. That month changed me. I started budgeting, writing down every dollar I spent. I stopped ordering fast food and learned to cook pasta. I walked instead of Ubering. And you know what shocked me the most? I didn't feel poor. I felt powerful. Because for the first time in my life, I was in control. I wasn't relying on anyone. Every bill I paid was proof I was growing up. I began talking to my coworkers, single moms, immigrants, students, people who worked twice as hard as me and still smiled. One guy, named Julio, worked 2 jobs and sent money home to his family in Mexico every week. Another woman, Tina, was raising a daughter by herself while studying nursing at night. These people, they were heroes. And me? I was just finally learning what being an adult meant. Over time, I got better. I started a small side hustle, fixing old electronics and reselling them. I taught myself how to budget using Google Sheets. I even began saving a few dollars each week. I didn't tell my dad much during that time, but one evening, about a year later, I visited him. We had dinner, nothing fancy, just burgers and fries. And when the bill came, I reached into my pocket and paid it. He looked at me, half surprised, half proud. "I'm impressed," he said. "You've changed." I smiled. "Not really. I just finally opened my eyes." Looking back now, that first time I paid my own bills was the moment my life began. Not because of the money, but because of what it taught me. That responsibility is freedom. That struggle builds strength. That nothing you're given can compare to something you've earned. I used to think success was driving a luxury car or wearing designer brands. But now, success is knowing you can stand on your own 2 feet, that you can survive, adapt, and grow, even when life punches you in the face. To anyone listening who feels like they're drowning in bills or struggling to make ends meet, you're doing something powerful. You're building resilience. You're becoming the kind of person who knows what life is really about. Because it's not about how much money you have. It's about how much you grow through the process of earning it. So, here's to the first bill you paid, and every one after that. Because every bill is a battle, and every battle is making you stronger.